taking back the crown. I'm all dressed up and naked. I see what's mine and take it. Oh yeah, the crown. So close I can taste it. I see what's mine and take it.
All right, guys, what's going on? I am the one, the only, the WOOKIE, joined here once again by one Mr. JR. What's going on, JR?
Nothing much. Hello, Keyforge community. I'm glad to be back. Just couldn't shake me, Wookie, could ya?
Well, you know, it is what it is. In times of crisis like we are now, I mean, I'm going crazy. I don't know about you. I'm losing a little bit.
Let's be very honest. I was begging at your feet going, I kind of like this, and please, let me in, please.
This was fun. No, I mean, it is. I enjoy doing it, so that's why I've continued to kind of do the post, even when there's not much information out, and then all of a sudden FFG goes, hey, did you guys want information? Let me put it all in the same day for you. So that way, those of you who do podcasts about it have to figure out how to split it up on your own. So, yeah, that's a thing that if there's one thing that drives me nuts, I don't know if it is the COVID that they're just kind of like, here's info and here's all of it just now, because we got the FFG AMA this week. As soon as we wrapped up last week's episode, we got the FFG OP kind of fun stuff they're doing over there. And then they decided, hey, you know, you're not going to get mass mutation, but here's some print and play decks. We're going to get into a majority of that. We're not going to deep dive into everything, but we're going to get into a majority of it. Now, last week, we talked a little bit about Origins and when that was going to happen. I was completely off on the date. It was May, right, that Origins normally happens?
No, June.
No, June. Okay, so I'm off again. I'm horrible with dates, names, and lots of things. But Origins right now, it literally came out after I hit stop recording, that it's delayed until October 7th through the 11th. So if you were looking to possibly get some Keyforge in come June, that's not going to happen, not just because of Origins delaying from June. We got a fun little update that JR sent to me. JR, what's going on with COVID and FFG?
So FFG went ahead and sent out basically a big stop delay for OP. That's the short end of it. And I guess Origins was a little precursor because they stopped Vault Tour. There was an impact for Vault Tour for Origins. There was an impact for Germany. And I want to say the third one was Netherlands, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And it also impacts other games outside of Keyforge too, but obviously we care most about Keyforge. Personally, on the piece I think that is going to be very, very long-lasting outside of the Vault Tours is our store-level OP. And that was paused until September 1st. And that's the piece that honestly gets me a little bit more worried, a little scared. And I know, Wookie, after seeing that post, and I think that was yesterday, I actually messaged you right away and said, do we need to go ahead and start up an online piece for our community? Because frankly, I'm missing it. I love what we have going here with Archon's Corner and the small community that's there. But I also feel there's a number of local players that I am just leaving out right now.
For sure. Yeah, and that's something I'm looking at. I know some of our locals are starting to kind of funnel in. And that's definitely something we can do. I can do. Whoever decides from our local community is going to do it can do it. Obviously for Archon's Corner, we've been running the dailies. So every day there is a new stipulation. And we're doing some kind of funny things with chains. I know we played around with them one day. I really liked the idea, so I kind of continued to mutate it. I don't know, it might be too strong now, but we kind of introduced this chain chart where obviously the higher SAS level your deck is, the more chains it will get. And what a lot of people are figuring out, and I figured out last night, that there's some decks out there, a lot of us aren't used to playing with chains. My deck, at least last night, couldn't handle chains at all. It was like, what are these, chains? Oh no, this is horrid. So I mean, that's what we're finding, and I think for a lot of people, it's allowing people to dig through their boxes. And that's really what I wanted to do with this tournament, is to dig through your stuff. All those decks that, you go, 61, that goes in the bin. Bust those out and actually have a chance to play with them.
And I give a complete shout out to Hiram Graff. He was actually going through and saying, hey, I have these 3 decks left to play. So putting some of those odd quests out of, I want to play this, or I want to go for this odd win condition, I think that's what we can be doing during this time. And I also want to go ahead and say, for me, I was really hooked back into Keyforge, going ahead and participating in the Archons Corner, just some of those different events. And the reason I was hooked in wasn't necessarily playing online, but also setting it up through Discord that I could hear other people talking. And all of a sudden, I'm like, that's what I'm missing. I'm missing the chat about, oh, that play over here. Let's go ahead and go into that window because we finished early. And so as people were talking, I absolutely loved and adored it, and it really sucked me back in. So I highly suggest, if you can, get into a game where it's not just there's silence and you're playing cards, but talk with the people there. Go ahead and try and set up, whether that's Archon's Corner or somewhere else, that you're getting some feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the part I'll agree with you. I enjoyed the most, is actually talking and then like watching the games and kind of having those little chit chats about like what's going on, what happened there, oh, what's he gonna do next, as we're kind of sitting there. So that voice chat's open for everyone. Like, don't be afraid to go in there. We've been in there, I mean, I don't know, 6 or 8 of us just about every day, every time that the dailies are running, kind of just coming on board with people, seeing what's going on, seeing the decks that people are playing, and actually just talking about it. And I think you're right. I think it's a big part of what I've missed about it too, is that personal contact, as opposed to just I'm sitting in front of a computer screen playing against somebody.
No, I agree. And I'll be honest, I actually saw a couple other local communities that had posted it, that they've been doing a phenomenal job. So shout out to the Moorwolf Pack over in Seattle, who kind of had a little bit of inspiration there. I know that there's a couple other groups that have said, hey, we're putting our local nightly piece online now. I haven't done that here. I know WOOKIE we haven't, but it gives inspiration of that's the next little step. And then to shout out and kind of go back to the chain piece. I know the first night we had it, it wasn't enough. And so, bringing in that deck really did go ahead. And if you had a high deck, you were able to run with it. But we upped those chains, and you could definitely see a difference. I really, really enjoyed that component, because sticking a chain or 2 at a time is one piece. But to jump in where all of a sudden now you're at 6 chains, that's a different setup for kind of running your deck.
Yeah. I mean, and things like this, it'll get you ready for the fun stuff like adaptive and stuff as to that nature, and just getting to know these decks and know their weaknesses.
I could definitely say I found quite a few weaknesses in the 2 decks I've played across the last 3 days. So yes,
absolutely, yeah. I've enjoyed playing with the chains. Well, I've enjoyed playing with them as the fun part. I don't enjoy getting my face stomped in.
Wait! Time out. That was a lot of fun. I mean, my Saurian Starlight is just, I felt horrible. I mean, I almost had a solid win with 1 house yesterday off of you, WOOKIE. That was so close.
Well, and it just is like, hey, I think this deck can do it. And it gives you another piece to think about when you're coming into it, too. It's like, I'm going to have chains on this deck. For tonight's tournament, we're having what did I set up for tonight? You're allowed to start with either 1 location or power automatically in play.
Ooh.
So, there's lots of locations, not as many powers, but there's a ton. There's a good plethora to choose from to just have in play automatically. And then kind of go from there. But then it's like, but do I want to play, the deck I'm looking at, 72 SAS. What am I looking at? I'm looking at 6 chains again. Ooh, can I do it? Is it really worth it? Do I want to play with that heavy of a chain again, or do I want to keep digging?
Well, and what I found interesting is, as we went with some of those lower SAS decks, oftentimes they're bringing in some houses that have quite a bit more beef to them. And frankly, that presents some big issues with some of these higher up SAS decks where, they don't have the board control. And so they have decks where the creature power is just so low that they die almost instantly. And you need a little bit there. So yeah, this balance, I've definitely caught myself looking at other decks going, ooh, what can I play? How is this? I've really, really enjoyed the process.
But let's move on a little bit from there. We got an AMA, Ask Me Anything from FFG today. I don't know how much of a Ask Me Anything it was, because as much as I love Brad, we got a lot of, maybes. It is what it is. They don't want to release too much. I think they should be a little more open with some things. I know they don't want to give the secrets away and all that, don't give the keys of the kingdom away. But, we're in a kind of a different time now where, hey, Mass Mutation's not going to be out at the end of this month. It's just not because of this. So they did give us some new cards, though.
You said for May, it's not going to be out at the end of May, right?
I'm sorry, end of May. No, I did say this month, and this month is April.
I guess
months are stringing together at this point.
Here's my question, Wookie. What are you looking for? I mean, if in our ideal world, what would we like from that AMA? I'm putting you on the spot.
I am, let's see how far I am through it. I am about 30 minutes into it. They've talked about a few things, some kind of standard questions. There was one that was like, are there going to be new houses? Well, we know there's going to be new houses. So this is already talked about. Some of the things that we talked about with Brad and Alex and, just they're asking the same questions over again. So it's like I already knew these answers, but these were pre-selected questions.
Yes.
It's the same thing we did with Brad and Alex and Josh. When you do anything like this, I've done these, I don't know how many times now, but obviously I've done it a few for Keyforge. You typically, you give a rough outline of questions that you're going to ask, so that person can be ready. It's not really fair to that person for you to come out of left field and ask them a question that they're not prepared for. So you do submit some questions, and sometimes questions get striked because they don't want to talk about it or whatever it is. But, they need to be prepared for follow-up questions after that. So this seemed, I don't want to say scripted almost, but it seemed a little scripted. It seemed like they kind of already knew where they were going, what they were going to answer, what they weren't going to answer. You can look at that by the chat. You can see a lot of chat going through. And just they're scrolling past. They're not even looking at these questions. They're going through and they're kind of cherry picking what they want. I would have loved to hear something about online play. That was something that we did get asked about over on FFG's OP page for Twitter. They kind of asked, would you guys like to see digital-based events? And I think the answer is yes. We would love to see digital-based events. And the thing is, digital-based events are already happening. They're happening everywhere. Everywhere you go now, it seems like every podcast is running some form of digital-based event.
Yeah, and I would
go ahead, keep it going.
I would go ahead and second that. Is yes, FFG, we do want a digital piece, and then in the same breath, thank you to KIP Tournaments and to TCO, because honestly, that is what's keeping things rolling right now.
Yeah. If it wasn't for those guys, I don't know where Keyforge would be right now. Magic is gone to their Friday Night Magics are now that's on their platform. They made a platform arena probably about 2 years ago now, and they're running Friday Night Magic out of that now. And I really don't see them having a reason not to. You and I have talked about them embracing one of these factions,
yes,
or whether it be TC or KIP. I think a lot of us out there. I know there's drama going on between that whole thing right now. Drama aside, I think we all can, and you and I both agree that these two platforms are holding this community up.
Correct.
They have put it on their backs. So for them to not even, I kind of have an idea of where they're going, just because I have an idea of what Keyforge is doing with this whole thing and who they prefer and what they want. It needs to come out sooner rather than later. Like, I think, I don't know what their programmers are doing. I don't know what runs in the background, but this needs to kind of happen. An official FFG version needs to happen sooner rather than later. Because if it's not, I mean, I guess we still do have TCO and KIP, but I just would like to see them start to get some form of chain bound moving, so we can start getting shards again. Maybe get some prize support again. This is a big deal of why people show up to these tournaments, for the prize support, for the shards, and I can't offer that to people because they won't allow me. Kind of is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, to summarize what I heard is 3 pieces. First may come across a little harsh, but personality. I don't think it's the personality of the FFG guys, but it's just how it's being presented. It's coming across as a little dull or boring. And so that piece, having a little more personality, just being yourself and friendly, that's what I'm looking for. Open communication. And honestly, that's been a big piece from the beginning, of just communicating information versus some of these days where it's just an absolute dump of information of here you go. So consistent communication with the community. That's what I'm really looking for. And then the third piece that we heard was online play, and just being able to support it, being able to take it to that next level. Those are the 3 pieces that I heard loud and clear from you, WOOKIE.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I online play, really, there's no reason it shouldn't exist. I think that saying that, oh, well, it's in the works, come on. Yeah. How long did it take to put TCO together? Were there bugs? Sure. But, come on. Somebody did it in their basement. You've got a whole corporation behind you, and you're telling me you can't do it?
I don't
know.
We'll leave.
It seems like a cop-out.
We'll leave that for inspiration. I know FFG's going to go ahead and take care of it. I got to have faith in them. Yeah. Going into some cards. Do you want to talk a little bit about cards?
Some of the cards. We got, I think, 5 cards today. I didn't actually count them, but the first one they showed to us was Cronus. He is a 3-power mutant creature from Logos. Enhance, draw 2. After you resolve an enhance bonus icon, you may archive a card.
I'm liking. That's my first piece. The double enhance icons, the ability to see Logos doing what Logos does, archiving, and being able to have some big, fast-moving decks. I like it. The piece really that's makes this a little bit weaker, in my opinion, is that while it's a constant ability, you have to have those enhance icons with it. So right. I don't see this, especially with no elusive, nothing else sticking at it. I don't see this creature necessarily sticking around a ton of time.
I don't either, but then I question myself, is he an auto kill? Do I have to take care of him immediately?
No.
And that's kind of the answer I come up with is no, because yeah, he's going to enhance a couple cards in the deck, maybe 1 card in the deck, but then they got to go ahead and find that card. And I don't know if they ever answered this. Maybe they did and maybe they didn't, and I'm just forgetting. I don't think they said none of the cards that are going to be enhanced are going to be shown on the Archon card, right?
Correct, because that was one of the questions that was shown. My understanding at this point is no, it will not be shown on the actual card. They had some way to designate it, but no.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be random, but it's just going to be generated, and that's where it's going to happen. But I mean, he's 2. I guess if he's paired with multiples, he could maybe need to be an auto kill card. He's going to be a speed card, but speed, I don't know if speed does kill in this game, but I don't know if he's an auto kill, so maybe he does stick around.
He's, in my opinion, he's not an auto kill because you're not immediately getting the payout for it. I mean, you have that enhanced card that's coming in, but if you don't have it being played, no, I do not see this as an auto kill.
He's a good possible combo with things such as Tau Vapors, if that makes a comeback. And like Eddie, if that makes a comeback.
Sure.
See here, free up your storage for my computer. We'll see. I don't know. I tend to hold a little bit of judgment on cards until they come out. There's always that card that snaps at you that he's going to be powerful. He's going to do some stuff. There's always those sleepers though. Always those sleepers that just come out of nowhere, and you're like, "That's a good card. I didn't even see that coming. That's actually a really good card." Speaking of cards, I think that are actually possibly going to be really good. I wish they would have worded this differently, because the only reason I say possibly would be good is because it's a rare. Noticing that now is Mole. It's a Shadows upgrade. Get a Pip of Ember every time you play it. This creature gains. Your opponent may spend Ember on this. Your opponent. Oh, okay. So it does read the way I thought it read. Your opponent may spend Ember on this creature as if it were in their pool. So you're gonna slam this. This is kind of a direct Saurian.
Yeah, it's Saurian. It's Saurian hate. So pitcher, now all of a sudden and notice the word may on there. Your opponent may spend.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be an interesting piece because the immediate target you're thinking of is Shrix. Going ahead and sticking it on, almost like a modified steal, but it has to be may. Why would you want to go ahead and allow your opponent to spend Amber on your creature? That's the next question.
Well, I'm a little confused by that question.
Well, your opponent may spend Amber on this creature as if it were in their pool. So if I go ahead and stick this onto your creature.
Yeah. So you stick it onto my charrette or something.
Correct.
Right. Now you're able to spend the Ember that's on charrette.
That's how I read it.
Yeah. That's how I read it too. I don't know what's the problem with the may.
Well, the option of, so your opponent may spend Amber on this creature as if it were in their pool. So your opponent is the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I may spend, because I'm the controller of the card.
You're the controller of the card, right. But once you stick it on a creature, the creature gains the power.
Correct.
Of your opponent. So now I, being their opponent.
Yes, that's why. I see.
Oh, I see your funny wording on it now. So,
again, FFG is a little bit odd on some of their wording. So just being super clear, I can see this being posted as one of those odd questions. But I think both of us read it as, you're sticking it on your opponent. I'm putting it on your charrette. I'm going to be able to use that Amber. And I think that's the ruling on it that I'd see.
That's the one that I would see immediately, because I thought it read that you could just spend Ember on this creature as if it were in your pool. And then I'm like, oh, it does say opponent. That's even better. Because this is straight up dino hate, but I can see where people are going to be like, well, hold on. Let me try to break this and tell you why you can't do that. And we'll see. I think it's going to be a solid card. However, it's rare. So, meaning you ain't going to see it that much. So, I don't know why this wasn't maybe uncommon at best. Because Shadows is really taking it hard on the chin lately. I know they're still showing up in a lot of Vault Tours and whatnot, but I think a majority of those are like Coda. Or just decks with a lot of Ronnies. You're not seeing much Shadows coming out of other decks. Not many. I don't think, anyway.
Yeah. As a small side note, I love the little text that's on there. Day 127. They still haven't realized I'm not one of them. In our present situation, oh man, that is great. That is absolutely great, FFG.
That is funny. I still, my favorite card, it is shifted from NARP. Oh, it was the one with the Macho Man. I forget who it was now. I gotta go find it. But that has now become like my favorite card of all time. Big Macho Man fan. I should actually go find it because I thought it was just the absolute best card. It was Bonesaw. That's what it was. So if you all remember the Spider-Man thing, or Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, Macho Man Randy Savage played a character called Bonesaw. And his line, literally the text on the bottom, the flavor text is, I think it's, "Are you ready? Bonesaw is ready." Or Bonesaw is ready. Something like that. I'll have to find it again. But yeah, it was taken directly from Spider-Man. And Spider-Man being my favorite comic book hero. But let's move into Pride. A disc creature, 4 power, Demon Sin.
One of the 7 sins.
One of the 7 sins, so I got to assume that there's going to be 6 others of these. Reap, ward each friendly sin creature.
I am very curious to see what the other sins are and what they do. But
And it looks like this is a linked rarity.
Correct. You can see the linked rarity, and that would make sense with the idea of the 7 sins, 7 deadly sins. I like the idea of warding each other if you can get them out. What's going to be interesting if they are all linked, that means your Dis house, all of a sudden, you're going to have 7 of your 12
You're
cards.
7 creatures.
Yeah, that's the immediate response that's popping in my head going, ooh, okay. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I'm not sure if that's good or bad either, but I think they could have a fun win condition where Dis is kind of the demon house, the for lack of a better word, hell house, where they have either like a key cheat or something like that, where if you have all 7 sins out on the board, you get to forge a key at no cost.
Sure.
That'd be kind of fun. I think that'd be interesting to me, anyways.
Maybe that could be on one of the actual 7 sins, one of the cards. We'll have to see.
Maybe it is. We'll have to see. There's 6 other sins that we haven't seen yet, but I do like the idea of where they're headed with this. The next card, not so much. Sanctum. We got Mad Prophet. I'm going to butcher this.
Gizzleheart.
He is a 4-power, 3-armored leader priest. While Mad Prophet Gizzleheart is in the center of your battle line. So obviously they're giving leaders to the other faction as well that missed their leader.
Yep.
It gains action. Fully heal each non-mutant creature. Gain 1 number for each creature healed this way. So he is a... what is the heal card? I can't even remember it now.
Is that Healing Blast? No.
Healing Blast? Maybe. I'll look it up while we're looking at
Okay.
it. But tell me what your thoughts are.
No, Healing Blast is fully heal a creature if you healed 4 or more, gain 2.
Yeah.
But that's not it. There's a different card for it.
Yeah, there is one. It's a Cleansing Wave.
Cleansing Wave, yes.
So he's a Cleansing Wave.
Yes. He's a built-in Cleansing Wave. The idea for an action, it's interesting with the big monster shields there at 3. So 4 power, 3 shields. He does nothing for me. I love Sanctum. Honestly, it's a house that I fell in love with early on. I just don't see them playing very well. I see them as slow, and this is another piece that, as a leader, I'm glad we're seeing it, but this does nothing for me. It really doesn't.
I think it does prove that when Mars comes back, we'll probably see a Mars leader. Things like that. There was a question that we did ask Brad, and he refused to answer. With the leader cards, would we see leaders from the other houses? Would we see plants? The shadows plants from other houses. Yeah. I think this fully answers that question of yes. He's a rare like every other leader, so you're probably not going to see him too much. The only thing that strikes me as strange is he's a snake. Am I seeing that right, or am I just missing this? Am I missing something in this picture? That is a snake, right?
It is a snake. There is something that is almost Dejani looking that's in the middle there. I would still say snake, though.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get a better image of this card and kind of figure it out. Because I'm just like, really? Of all the things, I did not expect that from Sanctum. But let's move into an untamed creature, 3 power, Mercy, Malkin Queen. She's, again, an untamed creature. Human witch. So we know that she's more than likely going to have to be killed. Skirmish after a friendly cat creature enters play. Ward it. Fight. Reap a friendly beast. Ready a friendly beast creature.
I'm very curious about this idea of cat creature enters play. That's the piece going, how many cats do we have? And you can see the flying cats in the background in that picture.
Yeah.
So
they're Untamed's getting a little out there.
And I know that we have the whole principle of if it's a witch, you kill it. But this is not jumping off as the witch that I need to kill. I got to be honest.
See, I'm torn. Her fight ability is pretty nice. considering I don't think there's anything in Sanctum that's not a beast. Or
And
Sanctum.
Untamed.
Anything in Untamed that's not a beast. And there are no, I mean, all the witches are human, I think. I don't think any of them are beasts. But I'm trying to think of anything else that's not.
I mean, there are quite a few beasts, so it depends on what's coming in.
Right.
She does have skirmish, so the idea of fighting with skirmish is nice. That you can, you're not taking the damage off of that.
Right.
The constant ability of warding a creature is nice. So I mean, I can't argue that. It really depends on how much we're going to see cats.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cats, let's go into Flumph.
Flumph.
He has a 3-power untamed beast cat with skirmish. When Flumph fights, give a beast creature 2+1 power counters.
I think that you have your new Stuffy here.
That's the new plushie.
I mean, I'm just going to put that out. FFG. That's my initial piece. I mean, it's a little disturbing with. I think that's 4 sets of eyes. There.
Yeah, it's 4 eyes and a pair of wings. Yeah.
But yeah, I would go with it. I think that's your follow up.
Yeah, she's almost Mercy's almost like the Wicked Witch of the West. Was the West, right? Yeah, with the Wizard of Oz with the flying monkeys, except she has flying cats.
Yeah.
Kind of. I don't know if that was intentionally done. Maybe not.
I like that Untamed went ahead and continued with their plus power counters. You can see that with Grovekeeper and some other pieces. So maybe there's a whole lot of pieces that they could work well together with Mercy, Malkin Queen, and Flumph. To me, it's a little underwhelming, but that's just where I am right now. I need to see a little bit more.
I do like the fact that they're getting some ward, though. Bare minimum.
Yes, they need
Untamed
that.
is getting some ward because they didn't have any. I mean, the ward was really bogarted by Logos and Saurians. There wasn't much ward outside of those. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Star Alliance had some too. Yeah. But outside of those 3 houses, nobody really had ward. Like, Shadows didn't have ward. I know that one for a fact. Shadows didn't have it.
You want to see some ward? You want to see some ward on Brobnar and Sanctum?
Yeah. I mean, Brobnar's gone.
I know they're gone, but they're going to come back eventually, right?
But Sanctum, yes. I mean, make my big beefier creature just not be able to just be wiped off the face of the earth.
Outside of Imperium, yeah.
Right. I mean, make it a little harder to get rid of, because I think if we learned anything from AOA and Coda is that, it's such a big body. Oh, and now he's dead. 1 card and it's just gone.
Yeah.
Cool. It was very lackluster, and it's just like make them stick around. I mean, you shouldn't just be able to kill a 6-power creature with a card.
I still think that's the reason why Sanctum has so many issues. Okay, yeah, I'm a big beefy body. I'm here, and it's 1 card. You just wipe my person. You just wipe the board. There's too many of them. It's too easy still to do.
Right, and that's what it is. It was just they were too easy to get rid of. They really weren't difficult at all to just kind of get off the board. The fact that they were capturing just meant that you're playing Sanctum really just to delay a game. That was it, and there was nothing you really could do about it. I am interested to see Sanctum and Saurian kind of come together and see how that goes with Saurian's ability to use Ember a lot of the times off of creatures. Maybe that meshes really well with Sanctum somewhere. I'm hoping, but we'll have to wait and see.
I look forward to being able to see. On a side note, I want to go back and say, for me, seeing Kronos, I'm really digging the artwork. So that was the picture that jumped out. And I'm not usually an art person. I don't usually see it. But that one, well done, FFG. Well done.
Now, for those of you who are wondering, and I know we're going to get the question, why did we not talk about all the new cards? Because there's a bunch. These were the ones that were released. We will be talking about all the new cards. We'll probably take them a deck at a time. But FFG has released 4 print and play decks for you to print at home and literally just, I don't know if you want to paste them onto cards. You can put them into sleeves, however you want to do it. and play with some of the new cards. So if you go into, and again, I'll try to remember to put the link in the show notes. There is a ton of new cards in these print decks that we have not seen thus far. So cards, there's a new Saurian card called Humble we haven't seen. The Lycosaurus. So we'll be going through all these cards as time allots. Probably maybe we'll go through kind of a deck a week, what the new cards are, and kind of moving from there. But in the meantime, you got plenty of at least 4 new decks to play. You can download them to your PC, print them out, play them at your leisure. I'm going to try to get my wife to do some games with me and see kind of how these new decks play. She's always really good at new sets, so she'll probably stomp my face for a little while. But, hey, at least getting to see some new stuff.
Hey, and people were saying, what do I do with all these extra decks? Now that it's low, 1, play them because we have the opportunity. But 2, hey, print and play. Here you go. Another option.
You have card backs now.
That's right.
Just paste them right on. I wish they would have given it a scanny code so we could have. Oh, you know what? They do. I'm actually looking at these right now. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Let me take a look at this real quick. Bonesaw. They do show which cards are enhanced.
Ooh.
They are highlighted blue. So they will show you which cards are enhanced when you're looking at the card. I couldn't remember if they said that or not. But
so they did, and then they've also pulled it back. And so that's why I'm still a little unsure. I definitely think about it. I like the idea of them being blue, something to signal. The question is going to be, is that going to be in the program? And maybe that's it, is as you scan the QR code, is that information also going to pop as to when you're trying to look at a deck as your opponent, maybe you see blue on the card, it represents, hey, this is enhanced, but online you may not know that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll figure something out and input that into there really quick. It's literally a highlighter. So that's not a FFG. If you need some help, let me know. I can find you a CSS code and we can just put that in there.
And I will say, looking at Gizzleheart, because there's a couple other cards in this first deck that has Gizzleheart, it definitely seems to be a snake. So sank them with the snake.
Wow, that's so strange.
I don't know. Maybe it's their banner icon symbol. So I do not know, but it is definitely there for their leader. Maybe we can dig into that with the lore that we can.
I was going to say, maybe that's part of the lore where he's a snake, but, maybe he's a dragon. He could be a dragon. He's got the forked tongue. I don't see any legs, but I guess he definitely could be a dragon. Yeah, we'll come back to that later and do some fun stuff. JR, since you're more semi-new here, you want to go through our awesome announcement this week?
Ooh, yes.
It's actually technically not ours. But,
no, it is not It is not ours, but it is a fellow Keyforger and someone that we've seen. So a big congratulations to both Chris and Sydney Steele. They made an announcement about a daughter that is releasing September 2020. So as Keyforge community, we are so proud of Mama and Dad, and we hope that everything goes well for you guys.
Yeah, weird story. You might be buying Keyforge and diapers at the same time. So go figure, right? Just as soon as you guys are like, we have too many decks. Well, now you have a thing that's going to soak up a lot of that money. So don't worry about it. It's all good. But getting into some more fun stuff, FFG Organized Play. I'm not sure how this is going. I've tried to follow it, and I've done a really bad job of it because I don't understand it. So they released on their Twitter, let's play some Keyforge, the world versus FFG OP. You pick the decks and the cards, we'll supply the rest. First place choice will be the world's deck. Second place choice will be OP's deck. Starting Monday, we'll run a poll each hour for community pick card selections. So it's really tough to follow online if you're trying to follow it because of just how they've stacked their tweets is just funny. But I figured we'd take at least a look at a couple of the decks.
Yes.
We're going to do a couple decks this week, couple decks next week. and kind of go into them. And I've already got my pick for the one I like the most, and I think is going to be the winner. I should have Dan on. Maybe we'll have Dan on next week. See if we can't grab him, because he had a totally different pick from mine, and I don't remember which one it is. But let's get right into them. Burning spoilers, Walmond. Again, I don't know how I can put this into the show notes. But it is an interesting deck. This is the one I chose as the winner. It is a quad Ronnie Risk Clocks deck with a too much to protect. So 73 SAS overall, 11 Ember control, 24 expected Ember. Nice speed of 4.5, so it's not slow. And 12 pips are in there. What do you see about this deck? Obviously Ronnie jumps right out at you.
Yeah.
You can't miss him.
I mean, you have Ronnie, you have TMTP. There isn't much that was
the
really...
Untamed seems a little weak.
Yeah, so, I mean, you have Tandalin, you got double the Fittest, you got double Flaxia, Grasping Vines, Mad the Gab, Nature's Call for some nice return, Pampaka Jaga, and then 2 Feathered Shamans and Creative Nature. Creative Nurture. In my opinion, Untamed is just meh. It's lacking. It's got some movement with some Amber, maybe with Flaxia. A little bit of control with Nature's Call to return some of creatures that you need to. A little power, but I don't know. I think that this deck is really set up with Shadows, and I think that too much of it is a little bit based on the Quad Ronnie and TMTP. That's just my initial thought.
The thing I do like about it is the double Flaxias. There's only one deck, I believe, in the lot that has more creatures than it, but it's not by many. This deck does have 19. I mean, we're looking at a bubble, too, don't forget, of just 4 decks, guys. So, am I bringing this to a Vault Tour? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. It is a 73. It's decent. I could see maybe bringing this into a Survival. But it's got 19 creatures, meaning that Flaxia is going to probably hit more times than not. It's got a necessary board wipe with the
Harbinger of Doom.
Yep. It's got bounce in it to get rid of those pesky dinosaurs. In the disc side, it's got a little bit of power. You got some dead cards. Wretched Doll is kind of a dead card.
Kind of. Come on, that's an understatement. That's a dead card.
Okay, Wretched Doll is a dead card. I actually used my opponent's Wretched Doll against them once, which was totally weird. I Nexused it twice. Somehow I got to place the Doom counter and then also blow it up.
I mean, you have an interesting piece with Not Finished With You being able to cycle some of the Ronnies. You're not cycling them immediately back in with Kymor Eclipse. I do think that the double Inky Gloom can help a little bit, but I just think that this deck does not have the creature counts. I know it's showing 100. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got 19 creatures, which out of the 4 decks is second highest.
Yeah, but when you look at this deck, is this screaming out to you that these creatures are going to stick and that you're going to be fine?
Well, my Ronnies I don't want to stick.
No.
I want them in my discard pile, because there's also an Exhume, so that's a thing. There's an Infernus, which, fine, kill my Infernus. It's going to come back.
Sure, but I mean, what do you want to be sticking? You want the double Lilithals? You want the Malison to stick? You have...
To be honest, there's nothing in this deck I really want to... I mean, I want the Avid to stick, but it won't.
So you have Fidget and Whisper to stick? Like, there just isn't... You don't have creatures that you want to stick or care about sticking, which can be both good and bad, but I know this is your front runner. It's there. It has some nice stats, but I think that those stats are a little puffed compared to what it's actually going to do.
Yeah, I could agree with that, but I still think it is I think it's the strongest deck there. And that was just my initial overlook going into it. We're running out of time here, so we're going to hit one more deck. We have Hostile. I hate these names. Why do they do this?
Hostile, the Courier of Matrimony. Beautiful.
So some things that kind of pop out at me about this deck is, well, it's got Tribute, so that's good. It's a 5.8 Ember control, but it's got Saurian, so I know that's going to be the way Saurian is done in SAS with their Ember control is a little funky.
Yeah, so look at the Tribute. You said you immediately saw Tribute, but what is your target for Tribute? Where are you going to be
That was
putting
the
it?
thing. That's the next thing. Where do I go with it?
Correct. And after you go with it, I'm not seeing anywhere to really drop that Amber afterwards. And I think that is an issue. So it's got Brooded on Auxiliary, Legatus Raptor, Spiral, Tributes, Tertiary Legionary, Paraguardian, the Philosopher, I can't say it.
Phil.
It's got Phil.
Phil.
It's got Stomp, Pterodactyl, Tribune Pompatus, sorry about that, and Triumph. And I'm just looking at it going, once I have that Tribute, fine, I've kept you off. But that's just a lot of Amber there ready to be taken back.
Yeah, total expected Amber of 13, speed of 12. I was trying to find the speed in this deck. It does have some speed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. 10 bonus pips in there. This is the only deck, and I think this was Dan's choice, to be better than the one we just went through, Burning. 22 creatures. This is the only other deck that has more creatures in it. This has the most. 68 SAS. So, I mean, I do see some good stuff in Logos. Information exchange, remote access. I'm not thrilled on Chaos Portal. Hollow Gramophone, yes. Bibliophile. I'm excited to have it, but I know it's going to die. Igor and Jargoogle, yes. The group think tanks are actually useful, which is a card that came out of nowhere in Worlds Collide that I was like, it's probably not going to be that useful. And then it was. Just with how much, people are playing more and more creatures now. Quant, awesome. Replicator, awesome. I mean, the logo set, I like it. I just don't know what I'm going to do with it.
I think Logos is there to move your deck along. That's what I see. Move your deck along. Go ahead and get some draw from Quant, maybe. Go ahead and, maybe remote access if you need it. It has a little bit of control, but it's to move that deck along. That's all I'm seeing. And
then there's the Star Alliance section, which is just it's missing all the good Star Alliance cards. Xeno Training, yay. Arms Master Melina, Calvin, how many? What you got? 2. You have 3 upgrades in the deck, so. Yeah. Maybe you do have 2 Explo Rovers, which I think he's a robot, so I guess you can get him back. Mm-hmm. But all it's got is Frayne and Ingram for really the good ones, the good Star Alliance creatures. So I don't see anything like popping out of this deck in that Star Alliance category.
No, there's nothing major that's popping. You do have double Molina with Molina's Blaster to bounce it back and forth.
Yeah.
You got some pieces here with Light of the Archons for a little bit of control. You got Xeno Training for some damage. None of these decks are going to be absolutely amazing, but it has some tools. And I think that's more what I look for when I'm playing a deck is, do I have tools? Because oftentimes then I can have the tool when I need it. I can go and find it or have it in my hand.
For sure. Either of these decks, I don't know. We'll get your front. We'll get what you like next week, what you think is the better deck next week, and then I'll see if Dan wants to come on and we can all kind of duke it out over these 4 decks. But we do have one other big congratulatory that we have to give towards the end of the show here, and that's to Archon's Corner and Help from Future Selves, Blake. He actually had one of his articles posted by FFG, which is fantastic. He's one of our writers. He takes us down a little trip towards memory lane. Why don't you tell us more about that, JR?
Yeah, so congratulations, Blake. It was awesome to be able to see that article and to be able to reminisce about your deck and kind of the journey where you started and where we're at this point in time. So as just to be able to see that was awesome. It was a great article.
Yeah, and to be published by FFG, I think it's kind of a big deal. It's definitely a step up from us, rinky old Archon's Corner. So I know he's going to be releasing some more articles on the website soon. The coronavirus has kind of just, taken him out. Really, kind of just, he's been just around. It's I think it's done up to all of us. So the what do I call that? The creativity has not been there. I feel it, especially in myself, and I'm not a creative person to begin with. So my creativity has just been, I don't know about you.
Well, I don't have I'm not creative. Let's be very honest about that. I'm not going to hide behind it. The piece that personally jumped out at me from Blake was his kind of gratitude. And he said, direct quote, "I am grateful for the friendships I have made in this community, the people I can reach out to and connect with all over the globe and have a common interest of Keyforge." I think that has honestly been the underlying piece for me as well, to be able to reach out, to connect, to be able to play a game that I love, but to share laughs and frustration as we had tilt or other pieces. But honestly, it's 99.9% amazing thing. So I'm so grateful, and I second that, Blake.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's going to do it for us this week. Next week, we'll get into the other two decks. And then we will probably start digging into some of these print and play decks. The new cards that we're seeing in each one, which one we think is going to come out on top. There are some really interesting stuffs in them. So I do encourage you, go read some of them because I am 100% interested in a lot of these. I'm assuming all of these are cards that are going to be in the set. I mean, we can see once you're scrolling through, you can see things coming back. Quixel Stone looks like it's making a return. Inspector, stuff like that. So we'll talk about some of the stuff that is coming back into Keyforge that we know about, and I'm sure you'll see it everywhere. But we'll kind of get into that in the next couple of weeks. You got anything else for us to kind of hit before we scoot and boogie out of here?
No, thanks again, Wookie, for having me on. Keyforgers, keep on forging those keys, having fun, and support your community the best you can. Even just checking in on our fellow Keyforgers, a big step.
Yeah, and once again, I just want to let you guys know, into the Discord, feel free to use any of those rooms to talk. Honestly, use them because that's what number one, that's what they're there for. They're there for you. If we need more rooms, I can always create more. Please do use them when you're playing your games. If you feel like that's something that, maybe you just lost your buzz, try just talking to the person. See if they want to join a room. I can make them. There's rooms in there. We're in there every night. At least I am in there every night about 8:30 Central Time. Just kind of chatting it up. Dan's normally in there. We're kind of just going through whatever the games are for the day. So we'll see you guys all next week. Have a good one.